Good morning. I felt like I wanted to sing it then. Good morning, Vietnam. Don't know why. So I do hope everybody is okay. Give me a moment and I'll get you up on my big screen. Make sure I can see your comments. Turn that. Good morning, Oliver. Good morning, Aaron. I hope everybody's okay. Another lovely morning. Lovely morning. So, we are carrying on from yesterday. Looking at... Oh, I can see comments on here now. Technology. So, good morning, Sophie and 2-year-old Oliver. Good morning, guys. Welcome to the club. Fantastic, Oliver. So Oliver's just saying he's got his worksheets ready. Oliver is one of our founding members of our little zoo at home. So you get your worksheets for the videos, but you can obviously purchase the worksheets as well. So, carrying on from our video from yesterday. Oh, I can see everything on here now. I wonder if it were some... Oh, I don't know. Technology. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Carrying on from yesterday, looking at habitats. Just in general, spoke a bit about a few different habitats yesterday. Today, we're going to look at a specific habitat. And we're going to look at how animals can adapt to very specific habitats. Good morning, Connor and Katie. Good morning, Isabella and Stanley. Good morning, guys. Thank you for being here. So, we're going to have a look at a very special animal this morning. I don't think he's ever been out as much. Although I should say he's probably been out more than me at the minute. So, let's speak about habitats. Now, habitats can be found literally anywhere and everywhere. We're very, very lucky. We do get a lot. You can literally find a habitat in your bathroom. I've got a jungle, what feels like a jungle in my bathroom. Some of the stuff I find in my bath. Yesterday I found spiderlings. So obviously there'd been a spider's egg sack somewhere, and it had exploded because they were all over my bathroom. But when we think about life and we think about habitats, everything does really well at surviving. So Aaron's saying he's ready to meet the animal. We all are, Aaron. We're all excited. So, looking at wetlands or swamp habitats. Now I'll just show you. We're working on this worksheet today. So there's a bit of a word fill in where you fill in the blanks. You can do that, and you've got a few colouring bits in. But here, what I want you to do on this blank bit here, I want to see if you can come up after today's video. But I want to see if you can come up with your own swamp animal. Okay, so I'm going to talk you through some. Good morning, Meredith. Morning, Auntie Michelle. So I'm going to talk you through how certain animals have adapted to living in these habitats, and at the end of the video I want you to come up with what you would think would go well in for an animal to have to help them adapt adapt to their habitat. Okay, so to tell you a little bit about a swamp habitat. Swamp habitats are warm. The wet areas. Generally, swamps, we won't find a swamp, but we would find wetland here in the UK. Swamp habitats have a lot bigger animals, but they're full of insects, reptiles, but also swamps generally have smaller islands in and around as well. Morning, Teresa! The two types of, there's shallow watery areas, so they can be quite shallow, but then normally the swamps that are found in forest type areas, the wetlands, which are generally near larger rivers. So this afternoon actually on the Little Zoo at Home page for the members, we're actually going out and having a look at some different habitats, water habitats. There is quite a few around my village because we're very low lying village as in sea level. We get quite a lot of kind of wet areas round. Morning, Sarah! So yes, it'll be good to get out and show you what we can find, especially at the minute with the weather how it is as well. See what we find out and about. So swamp water includes fish, tadpoles, insect larvae and shrimp. They are perfect. Some areas are perfect for those insects. Do you remember yesterday when I said insects are the biggest group of animals ever? So insects, when it comes to swamp areas, they are so diverse. They can live in lots and lots of different areas, especially with a swamp. But then, because it's such a rich environment for insects to live, what you're going to get there? What you're going to get there? If you have a lot of say if you have a town centre with a lot of fast food outlets, it's going to attract a lot of people because we all need to eat. And that is the same with habitats. If there's a habitat and they have a lot of food there, then the animals that are going to eat that food are going to go there, aren't they? So, yeah, habitats, fantastic places. Now, when we think of habitats, especially the wet habitats, you think of, excuse me, just get rid of my frog in my throat. He's not really in my throat, by the way. So Oliver's just saying, still can't believe that cockroaches go in all habitats. They're amazing, Oliver. Yeah, don't get me on my cockroach subject. So, when we look at environmental factors with regards to wetlands or swamp habitats, we need to think about animals that can adapt to live there in some pretty amazing ways. So what about, morning Tom, what about the animals that live there? What about the animals that live there that depend on the water? Well, what about then the dry season? When the dry seasons come and the swamps dry up or the rivers dry up. I know we have, I don't know what you want to call it. We call it the poo because it kind of goes, it runs through the village but then goes to the sea. Obviously we live in a farming area, so we get a lot of runoff into the poo that goes to the sea. And that does get quite low at times. But what happens to the animals that depend on that water then? Do they die? So when we look at habitats, environmental factors are a big, big thing. So for instance, let's talk about animals that start life in water. A lot of larvae starts life by water. Tadpoles are a perfect example of animals that start life. They depend on environmental factors of that water being there to survive, because if the water dries up, the tadpoles dry up to die. So you're going to see a decline in amphibians. So it's environmental factors play a big part when it comes to any habitat kind of being successful. Now, one animal that is fantastic, and the ways that this animal literally has adapted. So his adaptations are amazing. Now, I know we spoke about the cockroach yesterday, but this is like totally amazing. Now, an animal that will rely on the water to survive, okay? He needs water to start his life. Without water, this animal would not survive. So he relies on the water to start his life. And then, this is where it starts to get a bit crazy. Then, as he grows, he loses gills, he grows out of his gills and starts breathing air. What, how does an animal know to do that? How does an animal know that he needs those gills to start, but then as he grows, he loses his tail, he grows his little legs, and then he has lungs. It's like, wow, this is like total different. So Oliver thinks it's an alligator. Morning, Paul. So these animals have adapted, okay? Not just that, they've adapted as adults to know the seasons. So they've learnt that through knowing the seasons, that they can, if they lay their eggs in the spring, they've got the whole of the spring and the summer to grow and flourish to become adults, okay? So we talk about an animal that starts its life in water, then grows and ends up being an animal that lives on land. Should just say as well, not just on land. It doesn't just live on land. My specific animal, he lives in a tree. So he starts, this is where it goes crazy. So can you remember when we were looking at rainforests? Morning, Vivian! When we were looking at rainforest the other week, we spoke about animals that live on the different layers. This is pretty much similar to swamp or wetland habitats. They have different layers of the swamp. I love these books, I do. I love my books. And it shows you kind of the animals that live on the bottom to the animals that live mid-water and then the surface. So it's almost like 3 different areas. Now, stop beating around bush, Sally, and get on with showing you my animal. So this animal starts off in the water, and then as an adult, he develops lungs to be able to breathe, and it is Prince Charming. So this is Prince Charming. Well done, guys. So Oliver said a frog and Meredith said a tree frog. So well done. So this is Prince Charming. I'm sorry, guys, but he doesn't turn into Prince Charming if you kiss him. If only, eh? Not that I've tried, as if I would. But look, so when we talk about adaptations, we know from his body anatomy. Morning, Paul. We can see from his body anatomy that actually he hasn't got webbed feet. Well, why hasn't he got webbed feet? Because he doesn't use them. What he's actually got, he's got sticky pads. So what are those sticky pads going to help him do? He's adapted these sticky pads because they help him. Now, adaptations generally come from, they need to benefit the animal, okay? So we said Prince Charming starts off in the water as a tadpole, so that benefits him because he's got gills, okay? If he started life on land, he wouldn't be able to breathe because the oxygen wouldn't be able to pass around his body without those gills. So he starts off life in the water, but then as he grows, he has 3 life stages. So he starts off obviously as a tadpole, then a froglet, and then obviously a adult frog. And as he grows, he goes through something called metamorphosis, and it literally is the changing. So he's a total change from a tadpole all the way up to an adult frog. But we can see his sticky pads, they are a benefit to him. Now, he would use his sticky pads for climbing. That's how we know he's a tree frog. Now, we'll say there are 2 other frogs that have adapted different feet. We've got Webbed feet. What do webbed feet help? What benefit would webbed feet do to a frog? What benefit would that help a frog? Webbed feet. Have a think. Have a think. What benefit would a frog have from webbed feet? So we said for Prince Charming, he's got sticky pads because he's a tree frog. So he lives in a tree. That benefits him because it helps him secure himself onto the tree. What benefit will webbed feet? What benefit will webbed feet have for a frog? So it's always a benefit to the animal. Generally, why adaptations come about. So if he had webbed feet, that wouldn't benefit Prince Charming as much, and that's because he lives in a tree. But if he was, well done, Michelle. Yeah. So the webbed feet are going to benefit the animal because he's going to be able to swim better. He's going to have more surface area to push the water out of his way. So, you know, it's science. You know, the surface area, there's more surface area can move more water, so it'll give him a more streamlined pathway to swim. But then we have another frog or toad that has claws. When we say claws, they're more like long fingers, but appendages is the right word. But how's that going to benefit? How is having long claws going to benefit a frog? Now I want you to think about that one. How is long fingers going to benefit a frog? How are long fingers going to benefit a frog? So remember, its adaptations are all about benefiting the animal. So if we're talking about frogs, we could talk about amphibians that start off their life in water. So their habitat start in water, but then they move onto land. So the transition from water to land is a benefit to them because they can get, obviously, their food, they can get their needs. Remember we said yesterday about the needs of a habitat. They can get to those needs a lot better. So, oh yeah, really, Paul. So Paul is saying, it's a bit like him when he turned into Aquaman. Do you have nails? Did you have them painted? So, when we think of an animal with claws, any animal with claws, they are a benefit to it. Now, with regards to a frog or a toad having claws, it's not to climb, but it is to dig. So if you have claws, generally they're there to protect the end of your appendages or your fingers, literally, and they are there to help them dig. So when we think of habitats and how these animals adapt to living in these habitats, we said the tree frog, he's got sticky pads. He's adapted those sticky pads because it's a benefit to him. Then we'll look at another frog who has webbed feet. They will spend lots of their time in the water. There is actually a frog. Oh, should be prepared, shouldn't I? I have got a book. She says, I have got a book that shows you a flying frog. Might be in this one actually. So let me see if I can find it really quickly. And he's got like super duper kind of webbed feet. But the webbed feet will have been there. Oh yeah, we've seen the webbed feet. Flying frog. Do they actually call it a flying frog? But the webbed feet will have been there. They will have just been a benefit to having bigger webbed feet. And that bigger webbed feet will be so we can glide. Imagine seeing a frog fly. It'd be like seeing pigs fly, wouldn't it? So, no, I am. I thought I might have a picture. So, looking at how the frog has adapted to living in his habitat. What about when habitats dry up. So if it's an animal that depends on surviving in wetlands, how does an animal survive then when the dry season comes? Like we said before, a lot of streams will dry up in warm weather. Now, there is a frog, there is an amphibian that can literally, I keep getting kind of ideas. There's a lungfish, and a lungfish can survive times of drought by lying dormant in mud, protected by their waterproof cocoon. So literally, like, protect himself. So he's really kind of adaptations I can go on and on and on and talk about adaptations. But so with regards to the frog's skin is also super, super thin. This gives him the ability to breathe through his skin. Okay? So, if he was in the process of eating, he wouldn't need to, he fills his mouth when he eats. Very rude. But he wouldn't need to quickly finish his food so he can breathe, because what he actually does is, just show you, see him? Can you see the movement he's doing with his chin? Talk about this quite a lot, but what's actually happening is he's soaking up oxygen through his skin. That is literally him breathing. So it does have tiny, tiny little nostrils. I don't know if you can, he's going to jump in a moment because that's what he does. You can see he does have tiny little nostrils. But because his skin is permeable, it's a good word, permeable, it's so thin that he can soak water up through his skin and then I'll pump that blood around his body to pick up that oxygen from his skin's surface. So it is very technical. But how interesting that animals can literally adapt to their environments. But then there is animals that don't do so well at adapting. And I think when we look at evolution and kind of how animals do adapt, it's so fascinating, really is so fascinating. So guys, for those who are members, I will be on at 2:00 to look at the habitats. Oliver's asking, how old can frogs go? Depending on their species, really, Oliver. I know Prince Charming, he is a species that can live for up to 25 years. So it's a long time. It is a long time for Prince Charming. He is round about now. I'd say he's round about maybe 7. Maybe 7. I got him when he was really, really tiny. Very, very tiny. So he's amazing though. He's lovely to watch. On a night time, that's another thing I'm going to do actually. I'm going to do a nighttime live video. Well, we'll see about it being live, but going to do a filming of the animals that come out at night who are nocturnal. So again, that's another adaptation of habitats. A lot of animals are nocturnal to help protect themselves. But yes, I'm going to do a film of the animals that come out at night. Anyway, sorry, I keep digressing. So Prince Charming, his skin, he can breathe through his skin. But then also another adaptation of frogs, toads, is they use their eyes to eat their food. Now, for those that don't know how it's done, because I know I have told you this one before, but a frog doesn't have that swallow, that's you know, that ability to swallow his food. So what he has to do is he's learned amazing way to literally get his food into his tummy. So when I say use his eyes, Think about, look at the size of his eyes. And actually, if you go through a book that has frogs in it, you will notice majority of frogs and toads do have big bulging eyes. Remember, there's always a reason. And the reason he has these big bulging eyes is literally to enable him to get his food from his mouth into his tummy. Get his food from his mouth into his tummy. How does he do it? Well, he'll literally put the food in his mouth. So he'll catch a fly. So if you use your tongue, catch a fly for me. Oliver, I think you'll be able to catch a fly. So catch a fly with your tongue. Stick your tongue out and fill your mouth with a fly. Now, once that fly is in Prince Charming's mouth, he has to think of a way how he can get it down into his tummy. What are we thinking, Prince? What do you think? Oliver, have a guess. I think you might know this. I think we've gone over this one before. So, fantastic. So Oliver's sticking his tongue out. Got a cricket. Prince Charming's favourite is crickets. He'll have crickets in his mouth. But then, this is where the magic happens. Remember, he hasn't got that swallowing motion. Swallowing, there's a word there somewhere. So, what he has to do is he has to use his eyes. I'm going to take my glasses off for this. Only so I don't have to look at myself, or I can't see myself pulling these faces. Right. So he's caught his fly. With his fly in his mouth, keep your mouth shut, don't let that fly go. He has to push his eyeballs down into his mouth. But remember, it does still have epithelium, so that skin, there's still skin between his mouth and his eyes. Okay, so we can't look at his food and think, oh, I can't wait for that to get in my tummy. But just the motion of the bulging of the eyes into the mouth fills the mouth, which then, as long as he doesn't open his mouth, it will go down his throat into his tummy. So let's do it together. So catch a fly. There you go. A belly full of insects. Because Prince Charming is an insectivore. He does eat insects. So, remember, he still has the skin between his mouth and his eyes, but just from the bulging of pushing his eyes into that skin. So if you think this is his eyes, he's pushing into that skin, and that skin is then forming that bulging, which will then push that cricket or his locust, whatever he's got in his mouth. As long as he didn't open his mouth. If he opened his mouth, it'd pop out of his mouth because it'd go where the next space is. But it would actually go down into his tummy without swallowing his eyes. That'd be a catastrophe, wouldn't it? So, how amazing is that? But again, guys, that is an adaptation that has come from many years of perfecting it. And I think, how amazing, I do genuinely think that he's got it almost down to a T. Let me see. I think he's that cute that even if he didn't turn into Prince Charming, I could probably kiss him. No tongues though. Ugh. Slimy. I can imagine his tongue to be right sticky and slimy. I can't believe I'm going on about, yeah. I have kissed a few in my time. You see his movement of his throat though as well. He's ace, isn't he? And he always does this as well. He always shows off. Always shows off. So Vivian, how long have you been working at the job? You're very good at your work. Oh, that's very nice of you to say. Thank you. I've been running Little Zoo for 5 years at the end of October. But yes, I'm a bit of a chatterbox and I like research, I like animals, so it's a bonus It's a bonus to be able to do a job like this. I like learning. And I think with regards to this job, I think it's the fun side of things, because I can explain things a little bit more in simple terms. I think it just kind of gets through to children a bit easier, helps them understand. You start using big words. I don't really understand big words. I'm actually studying for a zoology degree, and it's kind of your big words. I have to find simple books to help me understand. You know those like science books for dummies? That's my sort of read. Just so it's simple. Hi, Eliza. Oliver's asking, do you know when the first person discovered that frogs I don't, to be totally honest. You know what, Oliver, I'll answer that this afternoon. When I see you this afternoon at 2 o'clock on our members page, I will answer that, because I will be interested in knowing. And I love it when I get asked questions I don't really know off the top of my head the answer. That gives me something to kind of research as well, so it is good to ask questions. What's the only venomous snake in England? Oh, that's a good question. We did that. Did we do that on a quiz a couple of weeks ago? That a question on one of the quizzes. If anyone knows, I know. Does anybody else know the only venomous snake that we have in the UK? Does anybody know? Drop your answer if you know. What's the only venomous snake in the UK? Ah, I thought so, Oliver. So it will be here somewhere. Jackie is asking, how do you get on your members page? Oh, thank you, Jackie. Jackie also knows the answer as well, Oliver, so big up to Jackie. Thank you, Jackie. It is the adder. And when I was a kid, actually, we were once going on a school trip to one of the power plants. I lived in Great Yarmouth at the time, but we saw an adder crossing the road. We thought it was kind of the bus driver, who were called Colin. Don't know why I remember that. I was so mesmerised. And we're like, oh, it's an adder. And I were obsessed. I was like, don't go near it, it'll kill you. But yeah, it's strange how you remember things like that, isn't it? So yes, it's another Jackie. Sorry. How do you get onto your members page? So it's I'll post the information onto your comment, my lovely, at the end of the video. Okay. There is at the top of the page on a pinned post some more information. You can click on that and find out more. But I will post it onto your comment as well when I come off this video. So guys, that is pretty much it. Should we just have... You know what, actually? Stay there. So if I scream and shout now, it's because the cricket's got loose. I don't like loose crickets, because they get everywhere. Aaron, don't go anywhere yet. I'm going to do a bit of... Got to see if I can show you how Prince Charming eats his food. So, stay there for me. See if we can... He does get fed on a night time. So, whether or not... Paul! So, see if you can see him. He's such a show off, isn't he? He's such a show off. So let me just pop. Okay, the cricket has... Right, you haven't seen it yet. The cricket... I'm just watching on the big screen so I can see that. You can see... So keep watching. Oh, you can see the cricket now. alright, it's the live video is a couple of minutes slower, so yeah. So let's keep watching, see what develops. Now the only thing with crickets is I don't like leaving them in too long with crickets, because crickets will need feeding too. What a cheeky cricket that really is. I don't know if you can see what's actually happening here. Can you see the cricket on his head? It's very cheeky. Oh! So, I'm sure you've heard of the term the wide mouth frog. Frogs do have very wide mouths. I want to see that on the film, actually. So he knows it's there. Keep watching, let's see what happens. Now, keep watching, guys. So what's happened here is he knows something's there, but like any animal, camouflage. So the cricket's now really still. So he knows it's there. He's just got to differentiate actually where. Oh, how did that happen? Prince Charming. Didn't actually get it then, see it. Now did you see? It's the eyes, it's all in the eyes. It's the eyes pushing down. He genuinely thought he had the cricket in his mouth and he was pushing his eyes down. I just like crickets. I really don't. Right. Let's see if he goes for it now. See he's blinking his eyes. And the cricket is actually here. The cricket is here. So keep watching. We'll just it's funny actually when you're out as well and you're showing the animals to children, they're always tempted to tap on the box. Always tempted to tap on the box. literally could sit here all day, literally, I really could, and watch behaviours such as this. I mean, it's not ideal that he's in this box much longer, really. But yeah, I really could. Even in his big tank, kind of watching him and, you know, his behaviours is amazing. So what I will do, guys, is I will, when I feed him tonight, see if I can get a video, close-up video of him eating. We'll see if I can grab some action. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. It's on his back now. I've got to put my hand in there again now to get him out and put him in. Jacket, he is beautiful. I do have to totally agree with you. He's so handsome. Really is so handsome. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. I will pop some information on Jacket on your comment about members group. And we will see you. We'll see the members at 2 o'clock this afternoon to look at the habitats. And for the rest of you, we'll see you in the morning. We're going to look at gross habitats. Gross habitats tomorrow. So, see you later, alligators. TTFN.